So here's a video on controlled experiments, and I'm just going to walk you through. I know that we've talked about this already, but I wanted to take you through this. So first off, testable questions. So for a testable question, it has to, or what it is it's the answer that you are seeking in the experiment. So this question must be able to be tested. Hold on, I've got somebody who's walking away here. Okay. These questions can't be based on opinion. So for example, on the screen you see that it says, are peas tasty? So that would not be a testable question. Got a question that says something like, do marigolds grow better in full sun or partial sun? That can be tested, so that is a good testable question. Okay, a hypothesis. Like we said before, it is an if, then, because statement. And a hypothesis is a potential answer to your question, to your testable question. So you have to think about what answer might make sense to your question, the question that you posed in the beginning. And you have to think up a reason as to why you think that might be the answer. Next up is independent variable, and I realize that my picture is kind of blocking out the variable. But this is the I change statement. So like the I in independent, let me show you. So the I in independent and the I in the I change. It's also the only thing altered in the setup, and it's what you are testing in the experiment, just the one thing that you're testing. Okay, so for example, if we go back to our marigold experiment, the difference in the experiment is the only thing that we changed would be the difference in the sunlight. So either full sun or partial sun. And there's our marigolds right there. All right, so again, the independent variable would be either full sun or partial sun, and that's the difference in light, difference in sunlight. So one thing we changed in the experiment. It's what I've changed. A control. Again, a control is used for comparison. It's the normal scenario. In this situation, it's kind of hard to pick out a control because of the fact that there's only two setups. One is in full sunlight, one is in partial sunlight. And you could pick one or the other to be the normal scenario. So I might pick the one that is in full sunlight. It could be either one very easily, and then you can use that to compare the other two. Sometimes controls work that way. You've just got to pick one or the other. All right, constants. Constants are all the other factors in the experiment that stay the same. So for example, the same pot, the same marigold species, the same amount and same type of soil, the same amount of water, the plants are watered at the same frequency, so on and so forth. We want to keep all these things the same and only change the independent variable, because if we change any of these things in addition to the independent variable, then we don't know what causes the plant to change or the plant size to change. We don't know if it's the light that changed it or if it was one of these things, if we change too much all at once. So all of this has to stay the same. The constants need to stay the same, and the independent variable is the only thing that changes. Okay? All right, the dependent variable is what we measure. That's the D, we, me. Dependent variable is what we measure. This is what we get our data from. Often quantitative measurements, or those numbers, remember the N in quantitative stands for numbers. That's where the numbers are taken from. This is where we get the results from our experiment. Okay, so that's the dependent variable. The dependent variable in our marigold experiment is the size of the plant the number of flowers, or it could be the average size of the flowers, any of that. So now some practice. Here I have two pictures of zucchinis that were growing in my garden. So it says 2 zucchini plants. One was watered every day. The other was watered every other day. They both received a gallon of hose water each time they were watered. They were both planted in the same light and the same soil. After 2 weeks, the length of the zucchini were measured. The one watered every day was 50.5 centimeters. The other was 25.4 centimeters. So on the slip of paper that I am giving you, I want you to write down what the testable question is, the independent variable, so IV stands for independent variable, what the constants are, the dependent variable, the DV, and what the results of this experiment were. Okay, so you can pause this video right now and do that. Don't close it out, but just pause it and write that down on your slip of paper. And then I'm going to collect it so I can see how much you understand about this right now. Okay, and finally, this is the homework, and this is the answers to the homework. So what I would like you to do is go through and check your answers so that you can see how you did. Notice that you had to underline the independent variable. You had to circle the dependent variable. You had to write down the constants, the things that stay the same, and then you had to write a hypothesis. Okay, so please do a good job of doing this, and this video becomes a very good study tool for you to reference on Schoology for your quiz that will be tomorrow. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks a lot.